You sure you want to be here?
Yes.
Then you better prove it to me.
Paige, I myself have come from a wrestling family, too. I know exactly what it means to you.
You're gonna be a star, babe. You're not just doing this for you, you're doing it for the family.
I had no interest in wrestling, didn't know anything about it, and got sent this documentary about this family of wrestlers from Norwich by my dear friend Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I met him on the movie Tooth Fairy, you're welcome. And we hit it off, and he sent me this documentary, which he himself had seen whilst in London. He was in a hotel, and he was watching TV, and he was watching Channel 4, and he saw this documentary about this family, and he sent it to me. I watched it fully expecting to be bored or just to sneer at this family who wrestle for a living in Norwich, and I was just very taken with them.
I love wrestling. I've always loved to wrestle. I've broken things wrestling, limbs, beds, hearts, and, you know, the way wrestling is, no one could ever look at that and say it wasn't real or it wasn't athletic or, you know, those men and women they're Herculean, they're incredible, you know, what they do. And then on top of that, they can do a when their enemy's music kicks in, you know.
This whole world was completely new to me. I had no idea what it meant to not only be that, you know, that character in the ring and have all your makeup done and be all glossy, but what the work was behind the screen. And I can easily say that it's so hard. And they are athletes, and it's truly inspiring to watch them, and it hurts.
I got on with Flo instantly. You know, and Flo and I still have a relationship where I'd probably want to punch her before I'd want to hug her. And she's exactly the same with me. Like, it is a brother-sister thing where we see each other and just want to hit each other. Just want to hit and just, you know, which you have with siblings. Not out of malice, out of nothing but love.
The second time I met Jack, my face was in his crotch doing some sort of like wrestling move. So it was kind of like we got buddies pretty quickly.
Am I speaking to Zach and Brittany?
Yeah.
My name is Hutch Morgan. I'm calling from WWE. We were very impressed by your tape. In April, we're bringing SmackDown to the O2 in London, and we'd like both of you to come down and try out for us. Hello?
They'd be very happy to accept.
Good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. I told you. It was a given.
Sorry, what is the WWE?
What? I think when you're playing a family, you oddly become that dynamic. And me and Lena were the mum and dad, and Jack and Florence were our kids, you know.
One of the first scenes in the film where the whole family wrestles, Nick knew what to do straight away, and, you know, I read that, you know, Ricky Knight body slams Zack Knight, you know, it's like, oh, crying out loud. But Nick did it expertly straight away, very safe, because safety is a massive thing in wrestling. But they have a shared language of touch that, like, if they little signals, then they know that means do a backflip off the ring. You know, and Nick knew that. Jack
Lowden, of a bunch of young actors I'd seen quite quickly, stood out to me, partly because, aside from just being a very good actor, the difficulty with the Zack storyline was that this is a kid who basically goes from being this wide-eyed, optimistic, the world's there for the taking kid whose sort of dreams are dashed, and he has to sort of rediscover meaning in life and becomes really a man by the end of it, and sort of takes ownership of his world. And so you needed that journey, but you needed, in through all the dark times, you needed someone that you were still rooting for, that had a kind of natural warmth and a humanity, and that's what Jack has.
His writing is extraordinary and his directing is brilliant. But Steve is a phenomenal actor, really technically brilliant. If you watch him in some things, if you watch him in extras, he's gifted. His timing is off the charts. His timing is so phenomenal. And sometimes if I got stuck, you know, if a moment wasn't working or whatever, Steve would just do it. And I would go, yeah, and I would just copy what Steve did. Like, it was a totally different way of working. Some actors don't like that, but I think because I just admire him so much as an actor, I would just nick it, do what Steve would do.
With Florence playing this real life, for at least the wrestling fan, superstar wrestler, you know, you're not only are you trying to emulate someone who's, for the wrestling fan at least, is a very iconic person, so you need someone who's got the kind of star charisma that the real girl has, which is what made her a star, but who's also a great actor, who's willing to do the physicality, that you can jump around in a ring, that you believe is a girl from Norwich, you know, again, who just can take you on that journey, and there's not many people that can do that.
The moment I stepped into that massive ring in the Staples Center, that was the first time I really understood why they do and continue to do what they do. And it's because for about 8 to 9 minutes of your day, your life, you get to be a superhero and nothing hurts and everybody's cheering your name, whether you're good or bad, babyface or heel, and that is an exhilarating feeling.
Her real story had so many of the Rocky-like moments that you look for in a story. I mean, she without giving anything away, she goes from sort of, zero to hero, and I was excited that it was a celebration of this working class girl that had gone from Norwich and pursued this very specific thing and went as far as anyone can go in that profession, to the very top of that tree. And even if you might not be a fan of WWE, believe me, for wrestlers and for the wrestling fans, that's winning an Oscar. That's Hollywood. It doesn't get bigger than that.
What?
It's Dwayne Johnson.
Prove it.
If you smell what The Rock is cooking.
Yeah, and I'm Vin Diesel, mate.
You know, Dwayne is like the pinnacle of WWE and the wrestling world, and so to have him there gave a bit of legitimacy to everything that we were doing. And then,
sorry about that.
But particularly the scene that Florence and I had with him, where the aim was, and I think Stephen actually said that to me, the aim was just to sort of downplay him and underplay him all the time, undercut him. You know, he's this thing, he's this enormous, physically, literally, he's this enormous thing. He's, one of the biggest film stars in the world and whatever, and, he's a god to hundreds of thousands of people. So just to go, Dwayne, and he's known as The Rock, was quite funny.
What advice would you give us if we want to...
Win over the crowd.
Win over the crowd.
What are your names again?
My name.
It doesn't matter what your names are. You walk around here interrupting The Rock, you like you haven't seen the sun in 20 years, you like you just stepped out of Oliver Twist. Please, sir, may I have some more advice, sir? You want some advice? Here's The Rock's advice. Shut your mouth. What you want. How about what The Rock wants? The Rock wants you to go out there, take no prisoners, have no regrets, have no fear. Lay it all out on the lines. There's your advice. So that's how you win over the crowd.
Yeah. Thanks, Dwayne.
Got it.
Dwayne not only is in the film, but he's a part of the storyline, the real storyline, and he was a major aspect to what happened to Paige, and he is in a part of her life hugely. He was very involved in our, I suppose, process. He was there when we were wrestling, for example. He wasn't just in one scene. Most of our fights would go through him and go past him, and our main fight, he was there for the dress rehearsal and made sure that I was throwing my punches correctly and made sure that I was focusing on him and not on all the other superstar wrestlers that were walking past me.
One thing I've learned over the years is that to make something engage with an audience, and I don't care where that audience is, you need to be specific. It's weirdly, if the more you're trying to make something general, the less the general audience engages with it. It's weird. The fact that it's Norwich, the fact that she comes from this family, the fact she speaks that way and looks that way, those are the things which, even though they seem completely alien to many of the viewers, are what make her feel like a real person and weirdly more relatable, because everyone has their parallel version of that,
I think you could probably take wrestling out and it be Sunday League football or snooker or close-up magic or salsa dancing, you know what I mean? It's you could add any of those things. So there's not a great deal of wrestling in it. You see Jack in spandex trousers and no top, which is something. It's quite something. I think it has something for everyone, except babies. I don't think babies should sit.